I think it's finally time I open up to you guys about my toxic and abusive relationship with Star Wars. It all started back in 2016 when my friends took me to see a little movie called Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Now, for most of the movie, I was like, this is alright. This is kind of cool. I don't like Star Wars, but this is fine. And then this happened. And my life was changed forever. After that, I asked my friends just about every Star Wars question I could think of, trying to play catch up over the last however many years of Star Wars that I missed. And I sat down and I watched all the movies in order, starting with Episode 4 and the original trilogy. And then I moved on to the prequels. And last but not least, the sequels. And while I'm pretty sure that process took at least 5 years off my lifespan, it caught me up just in time for the announcement of Clone Wars Season 7, which is still the best Star Wars content ever made in the history of forever. And for the release of The Mandalorian and The Rise of Skywalker. Now, recently, I sat down and watched Book of Boba Fett all the way through, and I was both very confused and very pleasantly surprised, though I know it was a disappointment for many people. Same with Obi-Wan Kenobi. I had super high hopes for that show, and while there were some parts that really delivered, there were some parts that were just hot garbage. It was really bad. Needless to say, I think most Star Wars fans would agree with me when I say that we have a love-hate relationship. They keep hurting us, but we keep coming back for more. It's like the MCU. Damn. And to be completely honest, I don't even hate Disney Star Wars like that. I know some of y'all spit on Disney's name because of what they did to your childhood and to Star Wars, but as someone who entered into Star Wars during the Disney era, I'm not personally all that affected by it. I see the ways that they're slipping up, but I'm also able to acknowledge the wins and be excited for Star Wars still, which some of you have lost and been blinded by your hatred. Now, yesterday, as I was publishing my MCU video, D23 was currently dropping new releases, and while Marvel really stole the show, Star Wars and Lucasfilm were kind of off to the side, dropping some heat. So I wanted to sit down and look through all of the things that they released and see how I'm feeling about all of these things. I'm not going to go through everything, like the little stuff. I don't really care that much about, like Skeleton Crew or Ahsoka or The Acolyte. I do care about those shows, but they didn't release very much during D23. So I'm primarily going to focus on Mando Season 3, Andor, and Tales of the Jedi, which I am really excited for. Let's start with Mando Season 3, and I'm just gonna get this out of the way right up front. The Mandalorian can do no wrong.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now.
Ever since they dropped that show, it's been heat after heat after heat, and the ending of Season 2 literally had me looking like this.
Oh my god.
It's to the point where even during Book of Boba Fett, where I was kind of disappointed by the overall story, Mando and Grogu and Luke showing up is the only thing I really remember from that show, because they're such compelling characters with such a compelling storyline. It's no surprise to me that Season 3 looks great. The trailer looks absolutely incredible. It looks like we're going back to Mandalore and all of the famous scenes that we've come to know and love from the end of the Clone Wars. I don't really have too much to say about The Mandalorian. It's exactly what we expected it to be. Mando and Grogu are reunited and they're going to Mandalore. I'm assuming to undo or dive deeper into the lore of Mandalorian culture, since Grogu has now left the Jedi Order and Din Djarin has been exiled by his little cult. It seems like they're really setting up the tension between Din Djarin and Bo-Katan, especially since the end of Season 2 saw them at odds, with him having the Darksaber and training to use it in Book of Boba Fett. So we know he's probably gotten kind of nice with it, getting better, and so I'm interested to see how he and Bo-Katan face off against, you know, who gets to wield the Darksaber and all that goodness. I'm also excited to see how Din Djarin might expand his faith a little bit, because now that he has been exiled by, it's not Death Watch, right? That's from Clone Wars. It's the Watch. It's like an offshoot group. Now that he's kind of left them, I'm interested to see how he explores the wider Mandalorian culture and sees that his little cult isn't the only true way, and that perhaps he is still a Mandalorian without having to return to the Armorer. In fact, the Armorer may turn out to be a villain in this season. She may come back as an adversary and represent Din Djarin's past and his stifling cultish belief as he's trying to expand. So we might see that Bo-Katan actually becomes an ally in turning him to more of a modern Mandalorian rather than the stuck to their old ways type beat that the Armorer is on. I know a lot of people had their complaints about the amount of cameos in Mandalorian Season 2, but I am kind of hoping that we get to see some cool figures show up in Season 3. Maybe Cal Kestis, maybe Ezra Miller, someone. I don't know. I know they're probably going to save that for Ahsoka, but a man can dream. Leave me alone. Okay, next up on our rundown is Andor, and this one is actually the sleeper for me. Andor is not someone that I was particularly interested in seeing a whole show about. In my opinion, he wasn't that compelling from Rogue One, but then again. But after seeing the trailer and seeing this new trailer that they dropped at D23, I am actually super excited for this. Anytime Star Wars does kind of an offshoot type of thing with a lesser known character, it turns out to do really well. It's kind of giving me Winter Soldier vibes, and I am super excited for that because I know people are worn down and tired of the Jedi and the Force and the legacy characters that Disney seems to keep ruining, except for Darth Vader. So Andor looks like it's shaping up to be the sleeper hit of this whole lineup, and I am super excited to see what they do with it. However, Tales of the Jedi is what I am particularly excited for. From what I can tell in these trailers, it looks like we're getting Clone Wars Season 7 style animation in these little short stories surrounding Ahsoka and Anakin, Count Dooku and Qui-Gon Jinn, and this interesting new Inquisitor character that kind of looks like Darth Nihilus. My friend Lucas and I have a theory that he is the Inquisitor from whom Ahsoka gets her white lightsabers. We know that later on Ahsoka has 2 white lightsabers that she got from an Inquisitor and she purified. So I'm guessing that this is the Inquisitor that she will overcome, and it's going to have to do with her training from Anakin that we see in the trailers. Another theory of mine is that the training we see from Anakin, where she's learning to take blaster fire from all sides, is what sets her up to do that crazy move she did in Season 7, where they all turn on her and she somehow deflects blaster fire from all angles, shoots them up into the ceiling to create a way to escape without hurting anybody. That, in my opinion, is Ahsoka's most impressive feat, and it looks like this is where she learned that trick. Anakin is really pushing her in her training to be able to face off against something like this, which is poetic, because in a way, Anakin is the one who saved her from Order 66. It's really cool, actually. There you have it, guys. That is personally what I am excited for coming out of the Star Wars D23 showcase. I know there were more little things like the Ahsoka show and a little snippet from Skeleton Crew. Like I said earlier, I don't really care about that stuff. There's not much detail or much for me to talk about. So I'm just going to leave it at that. As always, if you enjoyed the content, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. That lets me know that you guys are enjoying this, and it allows me to make more videos and branch out and try new things. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.